Greetings everyone and welcome to another porting stream. Let's see, who's on tonight? Against 9K, Neffert, Anonymous, and Quacker Clack, and Duncan Yo-Yo. Anonymous, subscribing with Twitch Prime. Thank you so much. Alright guys, as some of you know, I've been struggling with audio setup lately. I've been trying to reposition this mic so it's not in my way as much. Like it used to be here, but it allowed me, well, it prevented me from seeing my screen, so now it was up here in the middle and now it's here. I've been trying to adjust my volume levels. So hopefully today's volume sounds better, sounds crisper. Who knows? Let me know in chat. Meanwhile, I'm gonna spin up some music too so you guys can get the whole experience. Here goes. Alright, as usual, while I port a board into QMK or into VIA, I like to drink some port. Today's port is the same port I've been drinking the last couple weeks, pretty much. This is the cheapest port I found in the grocery store. $3.99. Originally $6, but now $3.99 because it was on sale. This is a Fairbanks port from California. Typically, port comes from Portugal. Yeah, it's not very often that you see a port that comes elsewhere. Of course, when I say that, some of my favorite ports is actually from Seattle, Washington. Devin says, sounds good, thank you. Yeah, I was playing around with a couple of the filters here on OBS. I did the noise filter and I adjusted my compression settings and all that. So hopefully it's good. Hello, Echo says, Mech Merlin in the house. Thank you so much. Alright, well, before we get to porting, I'd like to do a little bit of unboxing for you guys. So as some of you know, this same customer who sent me this Tofu 60 sent it in a Bolsa Keyboards bag. So, I've already unboxed it, unfortunately, because I was really excited, but you can see them over there, right there. I bought 5 of them and I've already used 4, so I'm like, I should probably buy a couple more. But here, this is a Bolsa Keyboards bag right here. Just a quick unboxing, I guess. Well, it's already been unboxed. Just time to open it up. Yeah, there we go. It comes in a 60 to 65% supporting box. Almost all my 65s made it in. The only one that did not was this guy right here. This is the only board that did not. This is my Clueboard 66 hot swap. It's a little too long. So the next thing that I want to test fit is my Think 6.5. So yeah, that will probably happen sometime this week. Not quite sure yet, we'll see. But a board that I am super excited about is this guy right here. And yes, it is indeed an international package. Any guesses as to what it is? I've mentioned it a few times on stream and on Discord, something I've been waiting for a very long time. Any guesses as to what this package might be? Let's see. Any hints as to where it's from? Actually, I already ripped off the tag, so I don't know where it's from. There you go. It's got Sendung Snummer. I don't know where that is. The Project PTTV says a keyboard. Well, that is a very good guess, but it is not a keyboard. It is rather a part of a keyboard. It is a PCB, actually. But PCB for what, right? PCB for what? I have been, holding on to vintage keyboards for the longest time, right? And the goal was to one day learn PCB design so that I could recreate a modernized PCB for these vintage boards, but I just never got around to it. Fortunately, I am not the only one with those ideas. And yeah, this one is a PCB of a vintage board. So which vintage board is it? You guys get to see. Well, actually, not sure if you guys will recognize the PCB, but here. Let me put the wine somewhere else so I don't knock it off, right? There we go. That is the PCB. Comes with a mini B daughter board of sorts. Okay. Interesting. For those of you who are into vintage keyboards, I wonder if you would recognize the PCB of this shape. Another hint as to who it's from. It's from a gentleman named Elmo. Make Nova subscribed with Prime. Thank you. Subscribed for 4 months, dude. Thanks for your support. Yeah, here we go. This is a PCB, a modernized QMK powered PCB with somewhat modernized connectors for an Apple AEK2. So yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. And I have quite a few of these boards available. I will have to find the one with the nicest looking case and also secure some Alps PCBs. But once I do that, it'll be a little Apple keyboard. So yeah, benefits to this is it's QMK powered. Let's see, what microcontroller is this? This is an Atmega 32A. Ooh, fancy. So with enough effort, you could even get Bootmapper client on this. That black solder mask is very Apple, I know, right? Yeah, but yeah, this is the Apple board. Look, it's even got reset keys here. Reset, a bootloader reset, and 3 LEDs. I was able to convince Elmo to solder it for me, just because you guys know how much I hate doing diodes. So yeah, here it is. So I've got a plate. I just have to decide which Alp switches I want. I think I've got some greens and I've got some of the dampened ones and some Matthias ones. There's been a handful of new PCBs for Apple board. Yeah, I know, right? I specifically picked Elmo just because I talk with Elmo a lot and I like to support all of his endeavors. So yeah, this will be it. That will be the board. And I've got like three projects coming in, so hopefully I can have time to like build this. Alright, anyway, today's board that we will be porting over is the Duodboard. So the Duodboard is a little DIY project. You can see this one's partially not made. Unfortunately, when the customer shipped this to me, due to its hot swap nature, the keys fell out. You know? Keys fell out and I was like, okay, you know what? That like tends to like happen. But when I try to put them in, I noticed that the PCB flexed way too much. And you guys know what happens when you have a hot swap board that flexes too much, right? The hot swap socket can fall off, so I'd rather avoid that. Yeah, this is the Duodboard. The Duodboard. Here, let me show you guys a quick picture of a finished product on their website. Sorry, it's called a Duodboard Duckboard. The people who make it is called Duodboard, and the name of the product is Duckboard. So here we go. This is it. Some variants have an OLED, as you guys can see. And it's a $25 board. Of course, you can add other items to it to make it more expensive. See that you got OLED and rotary encoders. But here, this is typically what it looks like. Looks pretty good if you ask me. All right, here we go, here we go. Let's go look at somepin's code right here. This somepin's code, he's currently in chat right now. Not so much a code review, but just want to talk about some of the process that we do here. So this is indeed the Duckboard R2. Typically speaking, the way we want to start off a port is to use a multimeter, and hopefully you've got a PCB in place, like what I had here. But tonight I am feeling a little bit lazy, and since the code is already in here, you know, we can just talk about it. So essentially, you want to be able to map out all of your traces, rows and columns, and see how it connects to the microcontroller. The microcontroller for the Doodboard is an Atmega32U4. That's right here. So typically, you just want to open up a pin out of an Atmega32U4, but as I said earlier, this is a Pro Micro, so what you actually want is to open up a Pro Micro pin out, right? Some of these can be mislabeled, so you have to be really careful about which one you have exactly. Like for example, I've seen some instances where this labeling, this A0 through A6, like the Pro Micro can be labeled however which way, but as long as each of these are labeled by the microcontroller pin, you should be fine. Yeah, here we go. This is somepin's code right here. Atmega32U4 bootloader is Katarina because it's a Pro Micro. You can actually use a Elite C on this as well, but yeah, I guess this is a question that I've always had. I guess when you write code for something that uses one of these breakout boards, if it comes default by Pro Micro, you'll assume it's Pro Micro, even though Elite C is indeed like the better way. But yeah, anyway, enough rambling. Let's talk about this. Okay. The first part that you want to do is go to your config.h file right here, right? Your config.h file. You need to figure out what each of these pins are. So typically speaking, when you're referring to rows and columns, we try our best. If the PCB designer thought this far, basically rows and columns really will be physical rows and columns. Like rows are this way, right? And columns are this way. And we always go from top to bottom, left to right, kind of like if you're reading English, right? So for example, you're looking at this code right here, C6, D7, E6, B4, B5, like so. This would mean that this row right here is connected to pin C6, this one is connected to pin D7, this one is connected to pin E6, B4, B5. And then when you look at the column pin, F7 through B6, right? That would be left to right. So F7, B1, B3, B2, B6, right? Justin said, also, I spotted some familiar looking keys on that 60%. Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, you've got the same set here. I'm actually surprised that you still found it. Right? So typically that's how you would do things, right? Typically that's how you would do things. So let's see, what's next here? Because this board has an encoder, you do need to refer to QMK's handy encoder support diagram here. See, so you need to enable a couple things, like encoder enable is equals yes. You have to add this to your config file. Yeah. If you have multiple encoders, you can definitely do it like this as well. And a bunch of other configurations that you can follow right here. Oops, that's not what I wanted. I wanted to go back to the code right here. Nevin says, specifying controller would only really matter if the bootloader is different, Katarina versus DFU. No, you still want to specify the controller. For example, here. Here we go. For example, if you specified another AVR controller like Atmega 328P or so, I believe that that one has more pins and each pin is different. Whatever you specify here actually pound defines a set of pins that you can use. So for example, if you did do an Atmega 328P, even though it was an Atmega 32U4, by the time you got here and you like did something like what doesn't exist on the 328. E10, yeah, if you put E10 here, it would be like, no, that doesn't work. E10 doesn't exist on it. But yeah, if you put in your bootloader, your Katarina or your DFU or whatever, you know, this one determines what happens when you drop into, when you do your boot magic key. Oh, Joshna, thanks for joining in. He said, if you do the wrong one, it won't jump into bootloader. That's true. Oh yeah, there we go. Alright, what else? What else? So basically, I'm just explaining code tonight since it's already been written. In fact, hold on, let me just Duckboard. Oh wait, I am currently in somepin's fork. Yeah, that's why I can't find it. Just open his PR right there. Aha! Aha, there it is. See? Approved. Approved by Droshna. Okay. Well, in this case, we will flash it onto this board first, and if it works, I will add my approval as well. My seal of approval. Alright, well, let's get back to his code. Droshna says, Katarina's great, and that will let you flash firmware that's too large and soft brick the controller. Excellent. That used to happen, but now we actually have guards in QMK telling you if it's like over the firmware size or not. Yeah. Kolo says, hello Merlin, I'm new to keyboards. Welcome. It's a great hobby. It's a great hobby. I've been in it for the last couple years. It's expensive though. It's very expensive. Okay, let's see what else. What else? Now that we've determined, you know, now that we've determined what the pins used are, what I like to do is to actually do go to a handy dandy app, web app called Keyboard Layout Editor, and effectively just create the layout that I'm seeing here, right? So here, let's change it up a little bit. Delete. There we go. Much better. Now this guy's gonna be height of 1, height of 1. Nope. Not 12. Height of 1. There we go. There we go. Just like that. And as you can see, we're still missing 2 keys right there. Do they even make 12U? I know that they make 10U, but I've never seen a 12U. 10Us were very popular with the what do you call that? It was the Wise Sport. It was like the Wise 84 or something. Something like that. I don't have arrow keys. Hold on. Let me just program arrow keys really quick. Give me arrow keys on this board. There we go. Okay, I have arrow keys now. The amount of stabilization you need for that. Actually, for the 10U key, it was still like your regular stabilizer, except it was a really long wire, if I remember correctly. It was just like a... I totally should have kept... Actually, do I have one? I might have one. I might have one. Hold on. I absolutely have one. Absolutely have one here, guys. This is the Wise 84, I guess? The Wise 84? Yeah, check out that 10U. 10U spacebar right there. It's super rattly. Super rattly. Let me just show you guys that it is indeed just a regular stabilizer, but it has like a 10U wire on it. Here, see that? See that? 10U wire, and yes, you're right. These are legit vintage blacks. Vintage blacks, and see that? 10U, right there. And you compare that with the 6.25U that's in front of me. See that? Yeah. Man, these stabs are weird. These stabs look hella weird. Alright, let's go put it back on. Super rattly, what the heck. Oh wait, so just wanted to show you guys something about this vintage board. Let's see, do I have a cool double shot one? Here we go. Here you go, check this out. For those of you who don't know, these are DCS. This is the first iteration of the DCS profile before, I believe it was before Signature Plastics bought them. This was made by Comtech, and Signature Plastics bought the Comtech molds. So way back in the day, DCS caps like so, look at how thick that is. Look at how thick that is. Let me find a GMK one. There you go. Compare that to GMK. GMK is this one right there. Look at how thick that is. That is super comparable. Come on, focus. There we go. See that? DCS, right? So at one point, DCS used to be really thick, but I think it was sometime before Signature Plastics bought them. They changed the molds to have much thinner keycaps, and that's eventually what became DCS as we know them today. Yeah, this is it. This is it. So yeah, let's go look at one that's... Go. Come on. Can't focus properly. There we go. Did you just enter a history of keyboard keycaps class? Yeah, kind of. Kind of, yeah. But here we go. I hope to one day make a PCB for this. We'll see. We'll see. So yeah, I do hope that one day Signature Plastics will bring back the thick DCS molds because they are very comparable to Cherry keycaps. And if they can do that, I think that would be a good alternative to buying from GMK, thus relaxing a lot of the long lead times that we currently have and all that. All right, what were we talking about? We were talking about the Duckboard and putting VIA on it. There we go. What I like to do is create a keyboard layout editor that directly imitates what your layout is right here, like so. Droshna, if you're still on, does QMK Configurator allow us to program at least the click on the encoder? Because I'm adding that encoder key right there. Because I guess we don't know. Actually, you know what? Let's just see for ourselves. Oh, Droshna just replied. He said, "Yup." But let's see for ourselves anyway. Let's see what's a board with an encoder on it. Satisfaction 75 Rev 1 and boom, there it is. Yep, there's that key. Perfect. Okay, that's good. Alright, so I like to empty out all of the legends so we get a nice clean slate here. Perfect. And there we go. This is where, you know, figuring out all these row pins and all these column pins map out, right? So we would take all of these. So the way I typically like to do this is, for example, the very first row, the very first column, C6, F7, I like to label it, for example, I like to put the row on the bottom and the column on top. C6, F7, like so. Let me increase it. So as I go through with my multimeter, finding out which is which, I'll just populate this entire diagram, right? So after I've completely populated this entire diagram, I can now convert it into what we call a layout macro. So let's go back to somepin's code right here. Here, layout macros is this thing that you see right here, right? Layout. A layout macro consists of two parts. The top half is what I like to call the physical matrix, right? Physical matrix is what your board looks like physically, right? So if this was a TKL, if this was like a TKL, I would have like the arrow cluster on the very right. I would have a numpad, you know, all that good stuff. This bottom portion is called the electrical matrix. Well, the electrical matrix doesn't have to look like anything. It just has to look like a grid. And if you remember in our config.h file, we had what? We had 5 rows and 5 columns. So basically this grid, this electrical matrix, just has to be a 5x5 grid. So look at it, 5x5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5x5, right? And if you look at this, that's my leather seat brushing up against the desk. Here you go. Very sequential, right? So it goes 0, 0, where the case you know was, K01, K02, 03, 04. Then the next one is 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And the reason why you're doing this is because the first digit stands for the row and the second digit stands for the column. This isn't set in stone. You can actually call this whatever you want. This method, in my opinion, is the most logical. Like, you could effectively call this Merlin, Droshna, Nevin, Droska, Make Nova. You know, you could call this anything you want. But this makes the most sense simply because you could look at this key, K33, right? K33, and be like, oh yeah, that is the key located at row 3, column 3. And then to cross-reference what pin that is, you can go to config.h. So that's row 3, column 3, right? Let's see, which row pin is row 3? 0, 1, 2, 3. That's B4. Okay, which column is column 3? F7, 0, 1, 2, 3. That's B4, B2. So we know that this guy, K33, is the switch connected to B4 and B2. So much easier to like understand. Like I would really love to see someone make an entire matrix and just call it like just like use GMK key sets, right? Because technically it is not stated in QMK that you have to label it this way, right? It's not stated there. Yeah. It's not stated anywhere. You could name it after your favorite wines, whatever, right? All right. So you can see that some of these keys are labeled KC no, right? Drakna said it's not stated, but we enforce it. Ah, hidden rules that we enforce. Yeah. Well, okay. Personally, as long as it makes sense, sure. You know, someone's gonna come in and be like, "Oh, what is it? Someone's gonna name the very first key after like the first GMK key set, and the very last one will be like the last GMK key set, and they're gonna be like, "Hey, if you really were into keyboards, you would know that the 31st item in that matrix is the 31st key set ever made." Rasha says left hand, right hand. That's good for the ergo boards as well. Nevin says I've seen a handful of variations, but this is by far my favorite way to do it. Yeah, I agree. I like it this way too. Alright, so once you've gotten all that, you'll notice that some of these keys have KC_no in it. What this means is that you are basically marking it off in the matrix and saying, this key is not used. Doctor says, if you do that, I'll ban you. Oh my gosh. There. Anyway, this means this key is not used in the physical matrix, nor is it used in the electrical matrix. So we can see from this that is K00, K10, and K20. So basically, with that information, you can go back to your config.h. So K10, so C6 F7 is not connected to any switch. D7 F7 is also not connected to any switch, and neither is E6 F7. There is no switch with that combination. Right? And more than likely it's these guys missing here. These guys. These three keys over here that's gone. Well, it says first and last by GB date or delivery date. Oh my gosh. That would be funny. That would be funny, but would be crazy. That'd be so crazy. Or you you could organize it by commit. By QMK commit. QMK commit. That would be way too much. Oh my gosh, yeah. That'd be way too much. Alright, anyway. Let's continue on. So using all that information, you should be able to build your physical and your electrical matrix, right? And pay special note to how you name this layout macro, right? Like, if you just call it layout, it's fine, but I like to give it a more unique, specific name. But if it's just one layout, especially since it's a hot swap PCB, then it doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter. Reason why you want to pay attention to this name is because this is the same name you will use when you are constructing your key map as intended. See, Ninja Mad Bro says, any switches for cheap that are 62? Alpacas are 62. You may want to try that. DWY says, hey Merlin, I remember you mentioning ESD over current and over voltage protection. What are they and how would they affect PCB? ESD stands for electrostatic discharge. So imagine you drag your feet on your carpeted floor and you touch something and you feel that zap. You know, normally if you zap someone like that, you zap yourself, there's no damage. It's just like a small jolt to you. But if you do that to a PCB, there is a chance that you can damage some, if not most of the components. And there's no really way, there's no real way to know what component is damaged, because it's like, think of it like lightning. There's no like, you can't be like, oh, the lightning will go from this point to that point 100% of the time. No. You know, so you don't really know what part is broken. ESD protection helps ward against that, right? Helps ward against that. Like, it's not 100% foolproof way, but in the same way, wearing a seatbelt in a car isn't going to guarantee that you won't die 100% of the time, right? Right? You know, so it's a safety precaution. The other two, overcurrent and overvoltage, certain components on your PCB have an operating range of, it can only operate between current A and current B, or voltage A or voltage B. Anything below, it might not work. Anything above, anything above might damage or burn it out. So overcurrent protection ensures that there is no current above a specified amount, and overvoltage specifies that, or protects against voltage over a certain amount. Now, truth be told, there have been many PCBs in the past that have survived for many years without any of these, but in the same way, there are people who have driven cars without a seatbelt and have survived many years and died in their bed sleeping, you know. So once again, it's just a precautionary measure. It's not 100% foolproof, not 100% gonna happen, right? Rashna says 20k volts straight to the MCU. Is it really 20k of a typical ESD? Electrostatic discharge? Anyway, as I was saying, you need to use the same layout macro. And if you're looking at this right here, your key map actually follows how you defined your physical matrix. So if your physical matrix has these two keys elsewhere, like up here, your key map needs to be the same way as well. Right? So as you can see, the default key map here has 3 layers, 0, 1, and 2. Interesting. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, so this is where... Here, let me explain this. So typically speaking, when you first code your board, right? When you first... Like, the way that I've done it here... This key where the encoder does, this only codes the tap. See? The tap. You can see me pressing it right here, right? Tap, 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 tap. What this code does, what somepin has implemented, is that if you turn it clockwise, it will effectively be a KC volume up. And if you turn it the other way, it'll be a KC volume down. Volume up, volume down. Makes complete sense. Makes complete sense. And if you've seen the product page, you'll know that an OLED is actually a optional part of this, right? So this is where you enable all of the OLED stuff. See that? I, unfortunately, am not very well versed in OLED. See, so here we go. We've got animation to animate the OLED. We've got... It prints out Duckboard when it's on. Quite a few other things. Oh yeah, here we go. This is cool. See? check this out. Basically, the OLED will display which layer you're on, base, function, or RGB. And then you've got your initialization routines right here. Somepin says copied from dude's code. There we go, there we go. That's cool. Yeah, so I'm not very well versed in OLED here. But here we go. See? So here's the thing, you know, earlier I said that this was not supported in VIA. The tap is supported in VIA in the same way that the tap is supported in QMK, but how you turn it left or right has to be coded within the firmware itself, right? Roshna says that's probably bongo cats. Bongo cats. Pretty cute. Alright, it's time to pour myself another glass here. Oh wait, before I pour myself another glass, Droshna, I just wanted to show you this. But Elmo's PCB that he shipped 3 months ago finally came. And what PCB am I talking about? This is the AEK2. The AEK2 custom PCB. He is using an Atmega 32A though. Yeah, so not the most modern of microcontrollers, but you know, I asked him why he chose this. I asked him why he chose this, but the reason why he chose this is because it looks very much like a, what do you call it? It looks very much like a vintage application, right? Doesn't that look vintage? Right, so I'm very excited to build this board. Very excited to build this board. Let's see, what time is it? It's 8:24. No, I will not build it tonight because I still have to decide on ALP switches. Which ALP switches I want. Maybe I can just buy Matthias. Have any of you guys bought Matthias switches? The last time I bought them was back in 2017, so I don't know if they've improved or not. Have they improved? Can anyone speak to them? Nevin says, yep, very similar to what was originally on the PCB. Okay, so back in 2017 when I first bought them, like my first experience with them, they were extremely chattery. Like I would press once, and sometimes it would spit out 3 keys at a time. I'm really curious if that's been fixed. Because Matthias was still based on the SKBM design instead of the SKCM design. Nevin says, Matthias, no, but curious. Ah, okay. Okay. Oh. You know what? I think I've actually got some Matthias linears. Let's try Matthias linears. Just don't know if I have enough for an entire full size though. All right. Anyway, with that said, I guess one question that I haven't addressed is, Merlin, do I have to write all this code myself? And the answer is no, you don't need to. There is a script that you can use to generate all this for you. So earlier I've been showing all of this files, you know, like key maps, all of this directory structure. There is a file that you can, or there is a script in QMK that you can run, or you can use QMK CLI. Unfortunately, my Windows aren't obeying me right now, but maybe I can show it again later. But you can either use QMK CLI to create a new keyboard for you, or you can use the script, or if you can't use any of those, you can just copy an existing keyboard and just rename all of the files. But yeah, after you've done that, you want to start doing VIA. VIA is probably like the most easy part when it comes to firmware. Basically, if you look here, we are in the keymaps directory, and there's a default keymap. VIA firmware or VIA enabled firmware is as easy as creating another keymap called VIA. But there are a little bit of changes. Look, in the keymap file, you'll see that we actually have 4 layers defined. By default, VIA requires that you define all 4 layers, right? Because if you don't define one layer, it'll be filled up with garbage values. So you have to define them even if you don't use them all, which is why layer 3 here has just a bunch of KC trans. See, KC trans, KC trans, KC trans. It's fine and all. And with that, you can really have everything else the same as whatever was in default. Nothing wrong with that. But you can't have any custom pound defines. Like you can't do like a pound define and then you string a bunch of key codes together. Like VIA doesn't like that. So you got to keep it simple. Keep it simple. The next thing though, Russian says you could add more than 4. Yes, that's true. But 4 is typically the VIA default. You can configure that using a config.h file here. You can set your number of layers to go past 4 or under 4. So yeah, there we go. So the next thing you want to do is create a rules.mk file like so. And here is how you enable VIA. VIA _ enable equals yes. That's it. That enables VIA. It enables all of the backend that creates a VIA enabled firmware. This next line here over on line 2, LTO enable, this stands for link time optimization. This basically just ensures that you get an optimized, you get an optimally compiled firmware to use the least amount of space on your flash. It's not a VIA default, but a default of the dynamic keymap feature. Okay, I didn't know that. I thought it was a default that VIA specified. Cool, TIL. There, here we go. So I typically enable both of these. And once you have that, the next thing you want to do is to go to the keyboard's config.h file and pay attention to this, right? The vendor ID and product ID. This is the thing, this is how VIA actually detects what board you've got as soon as you plug it in. Like this is how, here, let me show you. Right, this is how this functionality works, right? I've unplugged this Tofu 60 with DZ60 PCB, plug it in. Of course, you know, this always happens. Plug it in again. There we go. This is how this mechanism works. This is how VIA knows exactly what board you've got. See, it says DZ60 right there, right? Right? You need to have a vendor, you need to have a specific VIA vendor ID and a specific product ID, right? So, generally speaking, you want this to be unique across all products in existence. There is actually a regulating agency which assigns vendor and product IDs. So to be on their official list so that no one else can legally use yours, there is a $5,000 per year fee that you have to pay. But last time I talked about this, Zark actually mentioned that there is a part of that regulating agency that will allow you to use a vendor and product ID, specifically if you are part of an open source project. I will need to talk with Zark, who is another QMK collaborator here. So yeah. As long as you keep these unique, within QMK firmware, you should be fine, right? So with that said, let's actually try flashing his firmware on this, right? So keep in mind, once we flash the VIA firmware on this, VIA doesn't automatically detect it quite yet, right? You still have to do code for VIA. but let's just flash this guy first. Sark, PID.codes, there we go. Will sublicense their vid, give you a PID. Ah, okay. Oh, interesting. Okay, so the vendor ID. So they're able to do this because they're sharing the vendor ID. And then since it's not really possible to have that many product IDs, you know? Okay, makes sense, makes sense. And they're grandfathered in, perfect. Okay, well... No, I just realized I might have a problem here. Let me... I wonder... Ah, shoots. Let me find a micro USB connector. Let's see, do I have any here? Micro USB connector, where are you? Aha! Micro USB connector. Here's another reason why I dislike Pro Micros. Pro Micros still use a micro USB. If you guys build Pro Micro boards in the future, try and go for an Elite C or a QMK Proton C. Of course, once you do that though, you will want to change something in the firmware. You will want to change here in your rules.mk, this guy right here. You will want to change the MCU if your particular Pro Micro lookalike doesn't use an Atmega32U4, and definitely the bootloader needs to be changed to DFU or whatever. Oh my gosh, what's going on? I got raided by a party of 53. Max F Live. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for sending your people my way. I'm so tall, my head's above the shower head. What is that in reference to? Because I don't know. I've just been drinking wine. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining in. If it is your first time here, this channel covers keyboard builds, both on the hardware and the software end, such as what we're doing tonight. And we also do a variety of keyboard news. So thanks guys for joining in. Right now I have finished writing the code for VIA enabled firmware. I'm actually just going through someone else's code right now, but I will be taking that firmware and flashing it onto the Doodboard. Max been trying to tell people he's 6'4". Nice. I have never met Max, but 6'4" is quite a ways taller than me. The struggle of being too tall in the future. Okay, I'm short. I'm like 5'6", not very tall. Yeah, even though I am actually fairly tall for a Filipino, I'm one of the tallest members of my family. T-Mighty says, my boy, the wizard, how you doing? I'm doing pretty good tonight. Trying out different mic configurations. If you guys can hear that, I've added a bunch of filters. Hopefully my mic sounds a little more podcasty. Though I've noticed that once I make the mic sound podcasty, I can't exactly position it over my keyboard and be like, oh, this is a real typing test, right? Clammy11, 100 bits. Thank you so much. Opinion on the Reasonable 65. Reasonable 65. That was a 65% that was sold on Novelkeys around the November timeframe. Is that what I'm remembering? Or not? I don't remember. You know what? Google. Google is your friend. Here we go. Reasonable 65. Keyboard by Reasonable Dude. Sounds reasonable. Okay. Hotspot PCB, pre-soldered encoder knob, QMK functionality, center USB-C, top mount, 7-degree typing angle, plan price 200 to 250 GBP. What's that in freedom dollars? That is $346, United States dollars. Okay. Rich Snake says, new mic. I was wondering why it sounded different. It's the same mic, just different filters attached. And I've reconfigured my wiring so it's not crossing power lines and all that. Yeah. Alright, so we're going through this. This is 65 with a macro keys on the left with rotary knob. Oh, looks pretty reasonable. Not much more information as I can see here. Not even seeing a picture of the PCB or any features on the PCB, so can't really say too much about it, to be honest. Yeah, yay for blocker, that's good. But yeah, other than that, can't really say anything. Looks like it's got a weight down there. Why are you asking this? Timmy, why are you asking this? Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be flashing this board, so let me... Is the price reasonable too for 200 or 346 US dollars? 346 for a top mount seems just about right. Oh, it doesn't fit. I'm gonna have to take it apart. Shoots. Is it just me, or are you looking quite tired? I am still very tired, to be honest. As you guys know, I've been... My cat's been spayed, and she's been quite the active cat trying to get at her incision, right? And in case you guys don't know, when you get a cat spayed, that's like you're removing her ovaries. So it's an incision in her abdomen, right? So if she gets to it before it's fully healed, she could essentially open it up and essentially eviscerate herself. And you know, I'm not over exaggerating. This apparently has happened in several cases. So yeah, that's something we're trying to avoid. And Sushi is particularly active and always trying to get at it. So we've been having to spend many a night making sure that she doesn't injure herself any further. There we go. So yeah, why am I tired? Because for the last week and a half, 3 days more to go because we can remove the cone in 14 days. In 3 more days, I will finally be able to get much needed sleep. There we go. Okay. Let's plug this in. And I just realized there is no reset button. Why does this board not have a reset button? Why? Yeah, there is no reset button. This board needs a reset button. Oh my gosh. Okay, how... Oh crap. Reset is encoder click on second layer. Oh, okay, okay. But the thing is, I don't know how this board is programmed. You might say, dude, my cat was ill half a year ago and had a problem with peeing, and dude, I was so done. I was awake all night long just to be with him and give him meds. I know that, but I was also, yeah, I was so worried about Sushi as well. Like, the first night that we brought her home, she went wild. She tore off her plasticky collar really easily, and my wife and I just had to like hold her. So like, and like my wife just started crying because she's like, no, what if she hurts herself? And then I was like, okay, let's just go to the ER. So we went to the animal ER. They gave her lots of meds. Apparently my cat is very resistant to like tranquilizers for some reason. Because when we when we gave her vaccinations, they were like, don't be alarmed if sushi is like sluggish for the next 24 hours. And I'm like, okay, sure. Brought her home that day, jumped around everywhere, was like super active. So I was like, okay, okay. All right. Anyway, I do know how to reset this board. But I need to figure out where the reset and ground pins are, so I can just short it that way. This is super annoying. Okay, I have to remember that the board is upside, the Pro Micro is upside down, so that means okay, so if it's like that, then okay, ground and reset should be over here. Okay, we can do this. We can absolutely do this. Plug it in first. Alright, light turns on. Perfect. Perfect. Let me just check out his PR really quick. PR 12028. Hub PR checkout 12028. Bingo. Yeah, I'm just doing this off screen. Make it easier. Make Doodboard / Duckboard _R2 via : flash. Okay. So where's my little handy dandy wire here that I can use to short things? Where is that wire when I need it? Shoot. T Mighty says mine couldn't pee, so he had a lot of pain and couldn't empty, and that happened 4 times in 2 weeks. He was sitting somewhere hiding and screaming. That was such a, oh man, dude, yeah. I don't know, man. It's like, I've always liked pets, but when you finally have a pet of your own, it's definitely like, it's like so heart-wrenching to like see her in pain. So, I don't know, like, I'm not sure if you guys know, but I've wanted a cat for pretty much my entire life, but my mom was allergic. Mom didn't want it. When I got to college, of course, you couldn't really have a pet while you were in college, and each apartment I moved to after college always had a no pet policy, you know. And then I finally married my wife. Wife didn't actually want a cat, didn't like pets at all, but after six years of marriage, finally wore her down, and she's like, okay, we can get a cat. And now she is a cat lady. She like, right now she's sitting in the living room cuddling the cat. So, you know, it took quite some time, but I can finally have my own cat, and I'm very happy. So I will do everything in my power to make sure that this cat lives a long, healthy, and happy life. Alright. Where is that? You know what? I'm gonna be lazy. I'm gonna use a piece of solder. There we go. Piece of solder right here. There we go. I triggered the flash, so hopefully I can... You grew up with cats, so you love them? Nice. I did not grow up with any animals. Actually, the only animal I grew up with was a... Oh, that didn't work. Was a goldfish. And, you know, goldfish aren't the most interactive. Reset the controller now. Perfect. Let me do that. Okay. There we go. Erasing chip. Woo, woo, woo. And boom. There we go. It's been flashed. It's been flashed with VIA. But, you know, adding VIA support comes in 2 parts, right? You need to add the firmware portion, You also need to add the via portion. So thankfully, somepin here has also created the via portion. Thank you so much, somepin. You make my job easier. I don't have to do the work. I just have to explain the work. So here, let me just show you this file. Okay. So to add via support for a board on the via side, you have to fashion yourself a JSON file. And this JSON file needs to have certain properties, right? Certain properties. In this case, it needs to have a name. It needs to have the vendor and product ID, which matches your QMK vendor and product ID. There. It needs to absolutely match this thing right here, right? 4442 and 6462. The 4442, 6462. You need to specify some kind of lighting. You need to specify the size of your matrix, which is a 5x5. And then we need to specify the key map, like so. Right here. Okay. So we're going to go back to our keyboard layout editor. For the purposes of demonstration, I will just show you how this is done. I'll be silent for the next couple seconds while I talk about what I'm doing. Alright, here we go. Right? Why did that get changed? I don't know why that got changed. With this one. There we go. Okay. So here is the most tedious but simplest part of VIA. So you have to take all of these, right? And add in a top legends, top leftmost legend. There. Right there. So I'm just going to pre-populate this just because it's relatively simple. You're like, Merlin, what do these two numbers mean and why are they repeated? They are repeated for the purposes of demonstration, but let me talk about what they mean. These two numbers are a set of row and column. The first one is row, first one is column. So for example, 30 here, which I have highlighted, is row 3, column 0. And you're essentially taking all this and you're copying it from the physical part, from the physical matrix of the layout. See, all these numbers 01, 02, 03, 04, 11, 12. You're taking all of this and copying it over. So this one would actually be 11, 12, 13, 14. You know, and it's so forth and so on. When you get to the very bottom, it's 40, 41, 42, 43. 44, all that good stuff. Basically, you're copying this. I will have to mention, this only works. This only works if this physical matrix is done correctly. Right? This only works. Like if someone managed to label these incorrectly, or they did not follow the matrix positioning, this will not work at all. See, T-Mighty says, what do I think of creams? I have some now, planning on lubing them with 205 G's, but I heard I should bake them in first, but I don't want to have unlubed switches. Will they sound nice? Honestly speaking, if you're into min-maxing things, then breaking them in, then lubing them will give you the maximum experience. However, if you were to just lube them as soon as you bought them, you'd probably get 95% of the experience, and I would highly doubt that you would be able to notice a difference between the two. You know, that's my take on it. So every cream switch I get, I just lube them. In fact, now that we're talking about cream switches, I was recently sent a batch of Glacier Pandas by Novelkeys. Right here, these are fully palm housings, but they're made by Inver, right? Like the same people who made Panda. And based on my lubing and all that, not only do they not smell the same as pandas, they also seem smoother than pandas. And than creams. And compared to one of the creams that I had here, they also sound a little more bassier. If that's your thing. Of course, if you have creams, the main draw for the cream is that the cream stem is longer than your typical switch, so it's got that additional clack, right? But these guys right here, these Glacier Pandas, have been, I definitely prefer them more than the cream switches. Right, so I'm like how I do with the creams, I just lubed them as soon as I got them. I didn't really bother breaking them in, right? So is it okay to lube them and break them in if it's not that much of a difference? If you think you can feel that difference, then by all means break them in first, but I personally don't. I can feel the difference, but I don't think it's worth it, honestly. Just because breaking them in takes time, and it's not like I have time to put creams on a board and just wear them in, right? T-Miney also got some lavenders. Yes, lavenders are my favorite JWK switch. Alright, so anyway, as soon as you have this all done, you want to go to your raw data and click download JSON. What the download JSON will give you is a JSON file, which you can then copy the JSON and paste it into the key map property here, like so, right? This is the JSON file that you will get. All that good stuff. One thing you want to do is to also create labels. Typically on a hot swap board, you don't need labels because it comes with only one format, one layout. However, if you're looking at this right now, you'll notice that this is the type of board that you can solder yourself. You can solder the Kale hot swap sockets. So if you're looking here, right? If you're looking at this part right here, like the rightmost part of a numpad, you'll know that you can either split them up into two 1U keys or one large 2U key. And if you're looking there right now, you can see that there is actually a footprint for having one of the Kale hot swaps down the middle, right? So this is only really relevant if you have to solder in the hot swap. So yeah, in this case, you've got split plus, split enter, and split 0. Perfect. Josh says, Merlin, just connect up a haptic motor and enable Valentine's mode as you eloquently... Joshna, that doesn't go in the keyboard directory though. That goes into a directory in QMK yet to be named. Climby subscribed at tier 1. Thank you so much. Thank you. You know what, Joshna, maybe I should schedule a build for next year's Valentine's for that. Climby, thank you. Alright, so we are going to leverage somepin's fine work here, and we are going to flash this guy right here. I wonder if he has this in a PR. Somepin, are you still there? And if so, have you PR'd the via JSON? "22 days till April 1st. There, so I guess if there's no PR, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna copy paste it. Somepin says yes in via.keyboard. Oh, okay, yeah. Alright, well, I'll just copy and paste what you have here. Okay. So once you have this JSON file, you want to go into via Right now it's detecting my DZ60 customer board right here, but you want to go into Design tab, which is the third one from the left. If you do not have a Design tab, go to Settings and enable it. Show Design tab so that you will have it. Go to Design tab, click on Load, and load up that JSON file that you just created. For me, it's going to be... let me find it. So basically, if you did this correct, if you did the whole process correct, and you select the file and you press open, the resulting via should look like your physical layout. Oh wait, I guess I never plugged it in, but there is actually a OLED right there. It says Duckboard mode base. Cool, okay. So yeah, let's open up that JSON file and voila, look at that. Beautiful. The problem here though, somepin, I think what Wilbur will catch you on here is if we go back to the layout editor, right, like so, Wilbur likes it if you color in all of the key, all of the keys. So these keys right here should all be labeled, or all should be colored in. Oh, whoops, that was the wrong thing to do. Not the legends, but the actual key size. I mean, like the key color. Key color. Like so. And the encoder, I believe he also wants it colored in. Like so, right? So that's what he will probably ask you. But anyway, this seems correct. Right? This seems correct, what we're seeing right here. So essentially, I'm gonna unplug the board again. And just to show you the matrix really quick. See that? Fairly straightforward. All the rows and columns are mapped like you would expect physically, right? So at this point, when you click the Configure tab and you plug in this board, VIA should auto-detect it. There we go, perfect. Boom. And voila. There we go. See that? Let's check out our layouts. We can do split plus, we can do split enter, we can do a split 0. Perfect. So this guy has all that right there, right? And as I mentioned earlier, there is no way to configure the left and right of the mute key right there. Unless, Droshna, for encoder keys, do you know if there's a way to, I guess, map the left and right to an actual key that you can program either through QMK Configurator or as part of the physical matrix? I wonder if it's possible to do that. Because right now, as you guys can see, you can only configure the tapping and nothing else. So yes, it's possible, but hacky. Ah, okay. You know, lots of things in QMK started off hacky, so there's probably a way to clean it up a bit, you know. Alright, so I just realized that there's no way I can use this board without... Oh, actually, maybe I can. Maybe I can. Will I be able to easily pull out the cable? Probably not. But yeah, somepin, I have verified that your board works. Here, just to do a key tester thing, test matrix of sorts. Let's just verify that everything works here, and then I can approve Uh-oh, what is this? What the heck? What the heck? Okay, I think my suspicions were correct. Some of these keys didn't survive the shipping. Let me try and reflow them again and retest. Turning on my soldering iron right here. Because based on what I'm seeing, these keys should absolutely work. It's just really, you know, when your PCB is too flexy and you have hot swap sockets, the recipe for disaster. So let me just reflow those sockets really quick. Okay. Let's try that again. Hopefully that rectified it. Was not expecting this to be a build stream of sorts, but you know, things happen. Things happen. Key tester, test matrix. Ah, what? It doesn't work again. What in the world is going on? What in the world is going on? I don't know anymore. Oh, there you go. It's working again. Yeah, that one key. That one key. One key's not fun. Alright, I will break the news to the customer. I'll let them know. Let them know. Do joints on the MCU look okay? They do, actually. They do, though some... You know what? The MCU is harder for me, surprisingly, says somepin. So I can't really tell what's underneath, unfortunately. Alright, well, somepin, I am going to approve your pull request. Let's see, where was it? There we go. We are going to live approve your pull request right here. See, it's currently only Droshna has approved. And why am I not signed in? Here. Let me change my view so you don't see me type in my password, right? Why am I not signed in? What the heck? This is so weird. Did I get auto logged out or something? Incorrect username or password. What's going on? Oh wait, there we go. Gotta do two-factor authentication. Okay, let me pull up my little app here. You think GitHub logged everyone out? Let's see, GitHub Mech Merlin. What is my 6-digit code? It is... There we go. And... boom! Password is password. GitHub logged everyone out. MX Brown's bad. 123. I was logged out the other day. I told you the password 1,000 times, Merlin. But here we go. Okay. Looks good. I will approve. Let's see. I do want to put up. Try to put my wine down. Let's just look at all your files change. Just make sure everything's there. 20 to 21. You could just leave it as 2021. You didn't have to do 2020 to 21. Okay. Yep. Looks good. just go through it really quick. I've already shown that it works. Keyboard maintainer, Doodboard. Okay, review changes. Approved. Looks good to me. I even tested it on an actual board. Approve. Boom. Alright. Cool beans. And with that said, I will now squash and merge your change. So, boom. Boom. Woo! There we go. Congratulations, somepin. Your code has been approved. Merged and approved. Via, on the other hand, will probably take a little bit more. Live merge. Yeah, I know, right? Live merging. Alright, let me put this board back together, and then I will have a chat with the customer. Veal has encoder support. Perfect, yeah. Perfect. So yeah, if you guys don't know what Veal is, let me see if I can just bring it up really quick. Here we go. Here we go. There we go. Well, I guess it's not pronounced Veal because that's a vial. I guess it's pronounced vial. Vial is an open source cross-platform Windows, Linux, and Mac GUI and QMK for configuring your keyboard in real time, similar to VIA. Yeah, there we go. See, this is what the app looks like. I believe it is written in. You know what? Why am I guessing? I can just look at the code. Where's the GitHub? Feel. What language is this? This is source. Main. Python. It's written in Python. Yes, vial is pronounced like vile. Okay, yeah, I was hoping it would be veal so I could buy some veal, but I guess it's vile. Any good tutorials? Not quite yet, but maybe once I start contributing, once I start doing this, it will make its way, right? So as you can see right now though, it's not the most beautiful of UIs. You can see it looks very much like a Windows app that you just opened. Drink out of a vial. Yeah, I could drink out of a vial. You can still buy some and do a cooking stream. I mean, yeah, I could do like a mukbang. But yeah, see, look, it doesn't look bad, but it does look dated, right? Look at that. See, so you take a look at vial, and then you take a look at via right here, right? And then you take a look at QMK configurator. So to be fair, to be honest, QMK configurator does look a bit dated too, but Vial looks even more dated, in my opinion, of course. You know, in my opinion regarding aesthetic. Oh look, Python 3.6 is recommended. Cool. Nice. Yeah, I will definitely want to give this a try sometime in the near future. I am a big proponent of open source projects. Curious, what is the license for this? What is the license for Vial? Update licenses. There we go. Vial is under the GNU General. Oh, it says GPL. Okay, it's GPL as well. Which version of GPL? Version 2. GPL 2.0. Okay. Cool. Okay, not bad. So for those of you who are not familiar with open source licenses, GPL is basically, you know, if you want to use the code, if you add on to the code, you have to also open source what you've added on to the code, you know. But I've also read that as long as it's like, I guess if you're still developing it, as long as it doesn't get to a customer's hands, you can keep it closed source. But as soon as a product with said software is being used, it needs to definitely be open sourced. Starfish says IO3 is starting to use that for its boards. Very nice, very nice. Yeah, I think the controversy is with a lot of new people coming into the community, if you first open up QMK Toolbox for the very first time on Windows, Windows will actually flag it as a potential Trojan, right? And that can scare off a lot of people. In fact, if you go on Amazon and look at some of the QMK powered boards, people claim or people post in the reviews saying, don't buy this board. It has so many viruses, blah, 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 blah. When I open up QMK Toolbox, when I open up via blah 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 blah. There's this virus. Do not buy this board. This is bad, right? But when you have an open source code, you're kind of like, okay, they claim it to be a virus. Look for the virus in my code, right? It's not there. So that's one of the critiques of VIA. A lot of people who have not been in the community for a long time do not know who VIA is created by and therefore do not trust it, which I actually think is very unfair, but people are free to think however they want. Something like this is easily accessible. You can see what the code is like. Yeah, so yeah, I am like I do Ruby in my day job, so Python shouldn't be too different for me. Of course, syntax will be a little different, but I'm sure I can catch on fairly quick. So yeah. The question though is, how do you contribute to Vile? See, this is just the... Okay, looks like he's fairly active in the merging. How do I feel about Remap? I've never actually heard of Remap, so let's go look for it. Remap keyboard software. Apparently, I'm not finding it. Remap. Remap keys. Okay, let's go look at this. Remap keys. I'm assuming it's on GitHub. Oof, I can't even find it. Oh, okay, so it's an actual remap keys dot app. Ah, aha. Aha, okay. Cool. All right. Yeah, I am very excited to see a lot of this. I will say this not because I am biased or part of QMK, but I still think QMK is the default. I am quite happy that people are finding other ways to improve things. Now, this is the beauty of open source and the collaborative community nature. It only works in Chrome. So my issue with that, MakeNova, stuff like this, being able to flash your board through Chrome is what would stop a malicious entity in doing the same thing, right? In fact, I believe Google published a paper disabling like functionality for this because it was a security risk. So yeah, looks cool, looks interesting, but thankfully keyboards aren't a security risk quite yet. But who knows? Yeah, and I haven't seen you in a while. I may be building a keyboard for Yan one of these days. Maybe. Knock knock. Trey says I've been following ZMK recently. That's true. So based on what I've been told, if you have significant involvement in QMK, or even if you contributed to QMK, it's kind of hard for you to contribute to ZMK. So that means I'm probably someone such as myself will probably never be able to contribute. Yeah, ZMK is good, especially for Bluetooth functionality. Oh yeah, excited to see what that leads to. You basically cannot because the license is incompatible. I have been barred from ZMK. That's fine. You know how like in D&D, you can choose the wizard class, and if you specialize in a certain form of magic, you can't do others. I'm just gonna think about it like that, you know. Because I specialize in QMK, there are certain branches of magic that I can't cast, that I can't conjure, you know. Logan Chop says Baconator, just want more wireless boards. Wireless boards would probably clean up my desk. I feel like I've got so many wires here, but at the same time, I would hate having to charge a keyboard. Rasha says, can tell that Merlin hasn't played 4th or 5th. The last time I played D&D was in high school, and I believe it was up to 3rd edition. 3rd edition, I think I said this story before, but I was a half-dragon sorcerer, and my particular DM at the time wanted to add some spice to the game, so we had a hat filled with traits that we had to act out. So some people were like, oh, born in an impoverished community, very like poverty mindset. Some people were like, oh, came from a rich family. Someone who was like, oh, came from a noble family, blah, 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 blah. The trait that I picked out was, so keep in mind, I was a half-dragon sorcerer, and the trait that I picked out from the hat was flamboyantly gay. So yeah, I had to be a flamboyantly gay half-dragon sorcerer. Oh yeah. Played that campaign for a good 2 years, and it was quite hilarious what I had to do. Drashna says, my Hackintosh decided that the BT adapter that was working no longer works. No BT for me. Oof. Okay. I will be buying a legit Mac sometime in the near future. I'm looking at one of those new Mac minis. Anyway, let's see. What time is it? It is 9:32. I need to go and help with the cat. So this Thursday. So right now it is Tuesday evening, 9:30 p.m. Thursday morning at 8 is when we get to bring Sushi back to the vet and have the vet decide whether or not she should keep her cone on, but I'm really hoping that she doesn't need to because she's been very sad with it. So Thursday morning will be the end of my sleepless nights, hopefully, because then I'll finally be able to, you know, do things normally. Like honestly, like this last 2 weeks, I still work a normal day job, right? And this just happened last week. Someone told me that they were like, Merlin, can you bring this up during your meeting today? I'm like, yeah, sure. My meeting's in 30 minutes. What do you need? What do you want me to bring out? So he told me everything, and then 5 minutes before the meeting, I forgot what he said, and this was only like in a 30-minute window, right? So I was just like completely out of it, couldn't think straight, couldn't really do things. So yeah, I'm like, head hurts. Drashna says, it's like having a practice baby. I know, right? Okay, so at least with a baby, or at least with like a kid, you know, there's some way you can communicate with them, and a baby isn't gonna purposely attack themselves, right? Sushi was quite literally trying to get at her incision, and as I explained earlier, pets who have gone through spaying without that cone have actually, like, you know, opened themselves up and killed themselves, right? So it's quite a morbid thought. It's quite a very morbid reality, morbid possibility. So we've been trying to avoid that for the last 2 weeks. So yeah. You have to wrap a baby so tight it can't move. Yeah, and I believe you are a father of one? One or two? You sure? Oh, I tried to wrap the cat. The cat's very active. But as a result, this last week and a half, I've been hand feeding the cat. I've been like completely babying the cat. As a result, she has now become extremely cuddly. Like today, just working, she just would never leave me. She'd just like sit by my side, sit on my lap, sit on my shoulder. I moved to the kitchen. She'd walk to the kitchen and just sit there and like wait for me. I'd go to the bathroom. She'd wait outside. I'd go to the bedroom. She'd climb onto the bed. Just anything I did, she'd just be like right there. Would never leave my side. And I'm like, okay, there we go. We have a super cuddly cat. And it's actually the cat that I want. So there we go. That's what I have. Anyway, it is 9:30, like I said. Time to go play with the cat. So thanks guys for joining in. Today was not your typical via porting stream. I was mainly just explaining some of somepin's code here. I will still be posting this up on YouTube, and we'll be linking his associated PR. So if you guys are interested, check that out when this stream goes live on YouTube. Alright guys, thanks for having me. You'll see me again on Thursday evening, in which I will have a hopefully new setup here. I'll have better lighting, possibly better audio, who knows, we'll see, and we'll do a couple unboxings. Alright guys, thanks for joining in, and I will catch you when I catch you. Ciao!